Ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed readers, I invite your attention to a subject that, while it may at first seem trivial or esoteric, actually touches upon the very essence of who we are, where we've been, and how we perpetuate our culture across the chasm of time: the case of Onfim. Onfim was neither a notable historical figure nor a philosopher king. He was not a poet whose verses we recite, nor an artist whose works we admire in hushed galleries. No, Onfim was a boy, a child of the medieval period, who lived in Novgorod, which is now part of Russia, during the 13th century. His legacy, unlike those of the architects of empires and the shapers of epochs, is not one of conquest or innovation. Onfim's contribution to the annals of history is unique in its ordinariness. A collection of doodles and writings etched in soft birch bark, which have miraculously survived the relentless march of time. Now one might inquire with a fair degree of skepticism why we should concern ourselves with the seemingly inconsequential scribbles of a child who lived 7 centuries ago. To this I reply, it is precisely because of their insignificance in the grand historical narrative that these artifacts become indispensable. They are a window into the daily life, the education, the personal expression of a child, an individual, amidst the monolithic edifices of history, which too often overshadow the lived experiences of the common folk. Consider this. The birch bark letters of Onfim provide evidence that a society typically characterized by its rigid hierarchies and its stern, unforgiving ecclesiastical and feudal structures afforded a child the luxury of learning and the leisure to play. In these etchings, we find not only the alphabet and simple sentences that reflect the pedagogical methods of the time, but also the flights of fancy that occupy the mind of a child, drawings of knights, of battles, and of fanciful creatures. Through Onfim's eyes we glimpse a world where imagination was not entirely stifled by the weight of survival and spiritual salvation, a narrative that is too often superimposed on our interpretation of the medieval period. The implications of Onfim's drawings are manifold. Firstly, they serve as a poignant reminder that the instinct for play, for creation, for storytelling, is not a modern invention, but a perennial aspect of the human condition. Secondly, they challenge the historiographer's tendency to paint in broad, impersonal strokes, often neglecting the minutiae that truly constitute the fabric of societies. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, they underscore the enduring nature of childhood itself, which, despite the transformations in society and technology, remains fundamentally unchanged in its essence. In an age where our present is digitally documented to the point of saturation, where every utterance, every image, and every thought is preserved with an almost perverse permanence, Onfim's birchbark letters stand as a testament to the value of the ephemeral and the accidental in historical record. They remind us that what survives the test of time is often a matter of happenstance, and that the voices we hear from the past are not necessarily those that were the loudest or the most powerful in their own time. Thus, Onfim's legacy is not merely of academic interest. It is a call to recognize the importance of the individual narrative, the single voice amidst the chorus of history. It is a reminder that in every epoch, behind the grand narratives of power and progress, there are lives being lived, lessons being learned, and dreams being dreamt. It is an invitation to consider what legacies we, too, are creating and what accidental records of our existence might one day speak to the future about who we were. Let us not dismiss the archaeological curiosity of Onfim's birchbark letters as mere relics of a bygone age. Instead, let us embrace them as a mirror reflecting the unchanging human spirit, a spirit that dances across time, unbound by the constraints of era or empire. Let us remember that in every stroke of a child's pen, in every line of a doodle, there is a story waiting to be told, a life waiting to be understood, a piece of our collective humanity waiting to be acknowledged.